Alright. So we're gonna make snake. First, let's plan it out. So snake, we have a bounding box, right? And let's say we have our snake start in the center. Um, and then food will randomly appear around the within the box, but not inside of the snake itself. All right, so we're gonna need the board. The board is going to have the walls, right? And then we also have the snake. And then we also have, I guess we'll call it food. What else will we have? We can have a score, and for a difficulty system, we can have speed, because each time the snake gets food, it'll get faster. Sounds good. So rules in place are: if the snake hits any of the walls, it dies. If it is long and it goes around and it bites itself, it dies. Sounds good. A snake can also not stop. So if it's moving in one direction, it can't immediately go backwards. What else? Let's say what are the rules we need? We can add as we go along. Let's open up Visual Studios. That's not what I wanted. Let's create a new project. We are going to make this inside of a console, because this is going to be beginner level. We're going to say this is called Snake Tutorial. Call it Snake 2. Create. There we go. Huh. This is in VB. That is not what I wanted. I want it to be in C#. Let's try that again. I did not mean to do that. We're going to change this to C#. There we go. Finally. Yeah, that looks better. So let's say, whoops, that's not what I want to do. So let's make the board. The board is a separate entity. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. We're going to right click on the project here. We're going to go to add class. And we're going to call this board.cs. And we're going to make this public so that we can access it from outside. So let's design how we're going to do our board. Alright. Let's say our board is going to be, I don't know, 45 across. Let's make it a square. Let's open up control prompts. So let's make it so that it's a square like this. How many characters would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is 10. So this is like 20, 30, 40, 50. Let's say 50. Let's say it's 50, 50, 50. So it's 50 by 50. Now you can imagine this as having 50 rows and 50 columns. So you can imagine it as a grid. So it would have to be 52 by 52 because we also want the walls as well, right? So it will be 52 by 52. So let's do that. Let's make the grid. I'm going to make it this grid private so that no one else can modify it besides the board itself. This will be a, let's do a character array. A character is just a symbol. It could be like the number 9, the character that represents the number 9, I should say, or like a lowercase a, capital B, etc., a period. And this just means that it's going to have 2 dimensions. So it's going to have a horizontal dimension and a vertical dimension. My bad. It's going to have a horizontal and a vertical. There we go. We're going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it grid. We're going to make the constructor now. The constructor for a class is always going to have the same name. So you just put public and then the name of the class, and that's how you make the constructor. The constructor is the code that is always run first when you create a board. So let's say you have one board, right? When you make it, this code gets run. If you have 2 boards, this will get run twice, one for each board. So here we declared it here, but we actually didn't make it anything. So let's do that now. So let's say grid equals new character array, and we said it was 52, right? So now vertically, vertically we have that 52. So we have 52 now, but each one of them is empty. There's nothing there. So horizontally, we need to make those rows now. So here, we're going to add a comment. A comment is just a message that complements the code that you are writing. So here we're vertically making the board, and then here we are horizontally making the board. Here we're going to use something called a for loop. Inside. So let me write this first and I'll explain it later. I is less than length I plus plus. Now this is saying that there's going to be a loop, and a for loop has a condition. So as long as this condition is met, it will continue going. The first part of it is just a placeholder. It keeps track of what number it's on. So here we're starting at 0. Then this is the condition that is checking each time it iterates. It goes around the loop. And this is to tell each time it loops how many times is I going to be incremented. So right here, I plus plus just means that it's going to be incremented by 1. That's a shorthand way of writing it. Another way to write that would be like this. So it'll be I plus equals 1, meaning it's going to take I, whatever I is, add 1 to it. If you want to, you could do 2. Oops. So I mean, this will count by 2s. But in this case, we're just going to do count by 1s. So we're going to use the shorthand version here. So it's going to go through each vertical row, every row within the array, and we're gonna just create rows. So we're saying new car array. And this was also 52. Whoops. Grid I. There. So now let's make these walls that we were talking about. Let's make the walls show up as the hash sign, I guess, the pound sign. So this going to be a concept car wall. All right, so we're gonna create walls. Now the walls, as you can see, is in this grid. So you imagine this as a 2D plane. This is 0, coordinate 0, 0, and over here, this will be 51, 51.
For you.
And the reason why it's 51 and not 52 is because if you go back over here, as you can see, it starts counting at 0, 0 and not 1. So it'll have 22 positions, but it'll start at 0 and end at 51. So we're going to take the vertical portion here, coordinate here, and the horizontal here, and keep that in mind. So let's create walls. Let's create the horizontal walls first, because that is easier. So there are two horizontal walls. They're the top and the bottom. So let's do the top wall first, and then we're going to do the bottom wall. So the top wall, we're going to do another loop. For int let's call this x, because we're going horizontal, equals 0, and then while x is less than, because our grid is 52 in length, we're going to do that, and we're just like x increments. So that means that if you imagine there are, here's the cube. So you imagine that there is an array there, a horizontal cubes in this grid. So it's just a row in that grid. You can think of it as cubes in there, right? And what we're going to do now is we're going to loop through 0, 0. Is it 0, 1? We're going to go through. We're going to put hashtags in that. We're going to go all the way across, and there are 52 of these. All right, so I'm going to say grid. Vertically, we're at the very top, so it's 0. And then here, we're going to put x, because x is this variable here. So the first time it goes around, it's 0. The next time it's going to go around, it's going to be 1. And it's going to go all the way up to 51, because once it gets to 52, this condition is no longer true, and it won't actually do 52. It will only do 51, because it says while x is less than 52, it will do the loop. But yeah, so we're going to put in the wall, right? Next, we're going to do a vertical. Oh wait, we didn't finish this one yet. So next time we're going to do is another loop, but as a shortcut, what we can do is since we know how big the grid is, we say 51. Same thing, x equals wall. So we're gonna say these two horizontal. Next, we're gonna do the vertical. Create vertical. Oh my gosh. Walls. So same process, but this time we're gonna do the y-axis. And by the way, this x and this y, they're just arbitrary names. You can call them anything you want, as long as it follows the naming conventions, the restraints, I should say. So like you can't have a name start with like say a period, for instance. See, now it's going to give me an error. It also can't start with a number. It'll give me an error. But it can start with like a dollar sign. I think you can start with. No, wait, it wasn't that. It was this one. Yeah, so we can start with an @ sign, and then we can start with a number. It can also start with an underscore. Don't worry about these. This is only because they're different names. But yeah, we're going to use x and y because it's important to give your variables meaningful names. Because we're going on the x-axis here, horizontally, that makes more sense. That's appropriate. And this we're doing vertically, which is y, and hence why it's going to be the name y. Whoops. Well, same thing. Oops, it is. Y is less than 51. And then we're going to say y plus plus. Now in our grid, 0, 0 is at the top left, and 51, 51 is the bottom right. So what we're going to do this time, instead of going horizontally, we're going to go vertically. So our y changes, but our x stays 0. We're going to stay on the left side, and our y is what changes. So let's do that. Let's say grid y 0 equals 12. Let's say grid y. Same thing, this is going to be on the right side now. This is going to be the right wall. We're going to do 51 equals 4. So we should have a board now that has walls. So let's make a new board. To create a new variable type of a specific type, you first write the type. Make sure that this is inside of the class, because if you move this out here, it will give you an error. It's not going to work, as you can see. We're going to call this snake board equals new board. Actually, we're going to do it like this. Oh, so this method right here is static, and that's why this can't access this, because this is also not static. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna need to make this thing static. Static means that there can only ever be one instance of this. So because this board is static, there can only ever be one board, ever. When this program's running, there's only ever one board. Alright, so we created a board with walls. I guess the next useful thing would be to be able to see the board. So let's make a new function that prints the board. Just void print board. All right. So this is going to enable us to visually see what our board looks like. And how we're going to do that is we're going to loop through each row and print out each row, basically. So we're going to use what's known as a nested loop. We're going to loop through the x and y axes. So then we're going to loop through vertically first. We're going to start from 0. Y is less than I'm just going to put it in manually because we know the values already. But typically, you would, if you don't know the values or like something else created the arrays, you use something like grid.length. Actually, we'll keep it like that. We're going to say y plus plus. Then we're going to use another for loop inside of this loop. Int, x, we're going to start at a 0. Well, x is less than grid. And here we're going to just do y dot length. If I could just type that out. x plus plus. So you can imagine this as going through each and every single cell. So we're going to go check this one, 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 check this one. We're going to go all the way across, and then we're going to go to the next row, and we're going to go check those. And each time we check, we're going to print that character out onto the screen. So this is the row. We're going to say console dot right, not right line, just right. And we're going to say wall. So now it's gonna, if it's a wall, oh my bad, not wall. We're gonna say grid y x. There we go. So it's gonna go through each of our grid, and it's gonna print out the character that's in that position. All right. But also, this is only printing on the same line all the way across. So what we're going to do is after each row, what we want to do is we want to write an empty line so that it goes down one position. Another way you can do that is you can do it like this. /n just means new line. All right. So let's preview our board. So first we're going to do something a little different. And this is so that our program just doesn't immediately close when it opens. Now, because this method, this function, is a part of this class, and we made a new class called Snakeboard, that Snakeboard class objects also has inside of it that print board. So let's try Snakeboard dot, and as you can see, we have print board. Let's run our program. As you can see, it printed our board. Although we did take into account that there are spaces in between. The spaces vertically are greater than the space horizontally. So now our board looks very offset. So let's fix that real quick. Let's think about that. So vertically, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So it looks like 29 shows up comfortably. So let's just change our board from 52 to 28. Actually, we'll do 29. So that way we'll have a center to put our snake to begin with. 29. Let's change this to 29. Change this to 29. Oh dang, that was actually supposed to be 52 anyways. So that's good that we changed that. So we can run this now. Whoops. Let's do that. 10. 29, so this will be 28. This will be 28. There. So now vertically it shows up correctly, but the spacing again isn't correct for horizontal printing. So let's fix that. So let's say we have add two spaces to both sides. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, okay, that's not good. Let's say that we only have one space. like this one. Hey, that looks much more manageable. Alright, so now we have our board. We also have our wall now. Instead of a space, I wonder if there's a special character that we can just use. Let's go on the internet. Oh, that's stupid. Alright, let's go to the ASCII table. My bad. Let's go through the extended ASCII table. Let's go to images. So we have some art here that we can use. So we have these corners here. So this is Alt 200 to give us this bottom corner. And then we have this horizontal line that we can use, and this vertical line we can use. So as you can see, this vertical line is longer than this horizontal, so that holds true earlier. So let's see. Alright, let's tidy up our board to make it look better. Let's start with the vertical, and the vertical is 186. So I'm going to hold the Alt key down and type in 186. And that gives us the vertical line. And let's see what that looks like. Hey, so we got these nice vertical lines now. But as you can see, it had replaced the other ones, the horizontal portions, as vertical lines as well. So let's fix that next. Horizontal, here we go. So this is wall vertical. Let's make another one called wall horizontal. And the horizontal one, is 205. So we're going to hold down Alt, type in 205. That shows right up. This was V. And this was H. Now, we have spaces in between because we had added the space here. So we can fix that. By simply duplicating this with this. Whoa, hold on. Oh. We are going to say string So what I'm doing now is called string interpolation, which allows me to construct a line the way I want it to be formatted. So look into this. Now we have nice lines. But as you can see, we have another issue now. because these are printing twice, we also have twice the vertical lines now. So the rule here is we want to only duplicate everything in between except for the walls, the very beginning and the very end. So instead of this for loop starting at 0, we want it to start at 1, and instead of going all the way through to the end, we want to do the length minus 1, right? Now it's not going to have the vertical lines because we skipped them, right? We have those two horizontal lines though. So let's fix that by adding in the vertical. So we're going to do console dot right. Oh, and instead of X, we know that we're all the way to the left. So we're going to do X. I mean, a 0 there. I want to copy that same thing down here. And instead of 0, we're going to put 28. So that's the far right position. And there we go. Now we can also see that these corners, they don't actually look like corners. So we can do the same thing. With the y-axis, and we can say that it'll start at 1 and it'll end at -1. But if we do that, you'll see that our horizontal lines are gone, which is fine. We're just going to duplicate this. We're going to paste it here and paste it after. And instead of y, we're going to put put 0. Whoops. We're going to replace these with 0. We're going to replace these with 28. Let's see what we get now. We get what we had before back. So we want to get rid of those corners. So what we can do is get rid of this one, get rid of this one, and this one. And I believe that should get rid of the corners. Okay, got rid of those two corners. That is because we need to get rid of these two corners as well. So let me think. So we have x equals 1, so it starts at 1. Grid 0.
Yo, guy, you got my goods?
Bro, I'm recording. Oh. So x equals 1, so it starts at 1. So it should start here. Yeah, so why is it printing that? Oh, man. Oh, that is because it's doing this. So instead of that, we can tell it to print this corner. Where is it at? There it is. 201. So let me go here. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that is not what I wanted. Well, kind of. I got the first part right. So what we need to do is we're going to copy this one, put it at the top. So this is going to be the corner. This is the corner for the top left corner. But it's going to be preceded by that corner character there. And this one, we're going to put it back the way it was. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. So it has a vertical character there. So we can force it to instead say, what was it, Alt 205? Yes. There, now we have a nice corner there. And now we can do the other sides. So this is going to do the one corner, the very first row, all the way across. And then we need to do that last corner. So instead of this, we're going to be using the other corner, which is 187. And it went over too far. And that is because I wonder if it needed that. Yeah. So we have our x here, while less than the length minus 2, because we also have the one all the way in the beginning that we had to account for. So minus 1 was to move it over so it lines up here, and then we had one over here, so that it minus 1 again, so now that it lines up. Alright. Looking good so far. We gotta do this bottom portion now. So we're gonna just copy this. Actually, we're gonna copy this. Paste it there. This we don't need. So this corner is going to be, where is it at? This one, 188. And this one is going to be 200. Let's see what we got. So as you can see, we forgot to do the -2, which will fix that. There we go. Now we have a nice board printed on the screen. So I think that's going to be it for this tutorial. We're going to continue on with part 2 next time.